Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Vuzane, and we are coming here for the second time now after we've introduced the sessions to you. I would like again to welcome you on the teaching and facilitation schedule in video 1.2. This is what has been done. We have introduced the presenter already, and we have already asked you to go through our website. And in the website, as you go through the website, you'll find out who we are. And after you've done that, you go to a tab called Frequently Asked Questions, and you go through the frequently asked questions. And in the website and the frequently asked questions, you will get an understanding of how to contact us. Yes, we have one or two glitches in terms of contacting us, but our emails are working perfectly. It's just that our WhatsApp and our telephone hasn't been. In other words, when you call, it goes through the fax. So we're still fixing that. And we have already mentioned the way forward. Now, in CPD 1.3, you will be interested to know what is the material that is available for this CPD phase. So we've got the lineup, this document that is in front of you. Then we've got the author's note, the book itself. Then we've got the slides that we are going to be dealing with. Let us go to the book itself. Now, this is the book that you should have in your disposal. This book has been uploaded on the CPD material site, and it's called Author's Note. And it has got 20 chapters, volumes that we will be dealing with. That is volume 1, Small Business Operating Guidelines. That one is called SBOG. And in volume 2, we'll deal with the tax affairs of married couples. And volume 3, we'll deal with auditing profession in South Africa. Then volume 4 will deal with job descriptions and month-end procedures. Volume 5 will deal with the understanding of the entity and its environment. Then volume 6 will deal with the desired knowledge. Then volume 7 will deal with business stakeholders. Then volume 8 will deal with a big file with supporting documents there. Then on volume 9 we'll deal with consultation engagement. Volume 9 and volume 10 are meant for the board courses. Then volume 12 will deal with industry legislation and updates. And volume 13, volume 11 will deal with small business legal aspects. So far we've got 3 laws that we have written and completed. That's what will form part of this syllabus. Then you will have volume 12, industry legislation and updates, volume 13, small business stakeholders engagement, and volume 14 and 15 will deal with auditing of small business in South Africa. Volume 16 will deal with business continuity solutions. Then volume 17 will deal with business valuation techniques, and volume 18 will deal with business basics and going concern test, and volume 19 business plans and profile. Then what is not included here is volume 20, where we'll be dealing with business policies. Let's get into it. Then we've already introduced the authors. The authors here, it's myself, Vuzane, and there are my qualifications over there. And then we've got Mihle Machucha Vuzane. There are her qualifications there, and you are happy to find those in volume on the volume itself, volume 0. So in the nutshell, when we start with volume 1, in this volume we're trying to give you the overall compliance schedule of all small businesses. And here we understand that most of the business people would want to start business as soon as possible. And what we have picked up is that there is poor regulation. There is so much poor regulation in South Africa about small businesses. And this has created an impression that if you want to have a business, you can start a business, create a business, and leave the business at any point. And this impression is wrong, because you cannot do that. It's just wrong to think that you can start a business and when you feel fit and you leave it at anyhow. The business itself, the government business itself, as an initiative, is a great process to allow people to get into business in their magnitude. That is a good business, sorry. That is a good initiative, but the problem is that people were not empowered to understand what business is, and people are still not empowered to understand what is business, and that has created a lot of problems. And today, some of the problems that we find, is that as a result of doing business, people have now attracted SARS. There is a guy called the South African Revenue Services, and it has since become a biggest threat to the businesses. There are a lot of business who are owing SARS. It's either they are owing an administrative penalty for not submitting the returns, or there is money that SARS wants from this business, and this business are unable to pay SARS. And because of most business are dependent solely on the tax clearance, and it's SARS who's issuing that tax clearance, and SARS wouldn't want to issue a tax clearance where you owe them, and some of these business have really collapsed. And what we're trying to do here is to help businesses to ensure that whatever they do, they escape the needle of SARS. All right. Now, the big question is, what is a business and what is required to manage it successfully? And for us to do that, we have established a number of rules that you and other stakeholders in the small business sector have to observe for us to go forward as small businesses. And we know in a small business that because of how small businesses are, and for the fact that they are not operating in one roof between themselves and the FIPs being the financial information professionals, you'll find that the business is sitting here, the accountant is in town. The business is in town, the accountant is in Flagstaff. The accountant is in Flagstaff, the small business is sitting in East London. And that creates a lot of problems that needs to be managed. And how do we manage that? We start by introducing this volume to say these are the things that we expect must happen to close that gap, because of that you'll realize that there is a disconnection between where the business is and where the accountant is. And part of the things that we do to do that is to create what we call month-end procedures. And in the month-end procedures, we require that there must be a meeting between the small business professional and the financial records clerk and the accountant, to make sure that there is a format of going forward, and all our stakeholders understand this issue the same way. Now, the ultimate goal here, we have since realized that one of the biggest trusts is SARS, Department of Labor, and the CIPC, and that's what we do first, all right? And we say whether you owe these three institutions or not, your business should still run, all right? Because the threat of dealing with SARS has been dealt with, the threat of dealing with Department of Labor has been dealt with, and the threat of dealing with the CIPC has been dealt with. And that can be done if there are uniform rules that are understood the same way between the accountants and the small business practitioners and other regulators as well. And by so doing, we're trying to create what we called a format of trust, because these regulators and other stakeholders understand that there are uniform rules that are happening in a small business environment, and therefore there is trust. And of course, we don't anticipate that it's going to be an easy exercise, but if we understand our challenges together, it's easier for us to formulate solutions that we should understand together to confront those challenges. Hence, we have collaborated with some of our partners to make sure that we collaborate these common challenges for a common purposes. And this is where now this organization called Small Business Practitioners of South Africa is coming from, because we're saying we are trying to create a platform where we teach our small businesses on an ongoing basis. They ask questions from us, they participate in our tutorial groups, and so we move forward. So it's a continuing process. It doesn't end. It's unlike where you go and attend a class and you drive back home, you've got a file, you are on your own on the file. No, here, once you become our member, you jump into our system, you participate in what we asking you to do, you do the CPD, you ask all the questions that you don't understand. And remember, you will be allocated an accountant and a financial records clerk immediately when you come in. And the purpose there is to harmonize stakeholders in the small business area in order to increase literacy and also to negotiate better deals with regulators such as SARS, Department of Labor, and the CIPC. Okay, the objectives are critical for South Africa. We aim for, so we need to create sustainable businesses, not businesses that will die with us, all right, but businesses that will continue to operate even when we have passed on, business that are going to create employment, and business that are going to employ our children as well. Not that thing to say, I remember your father, I remember your mother, she or he had a business here, and where is that business? What happened to that business? Where is your father now? What is he doing now? All right, well, there's nothing wrong to leave the business. But what we are suggesting is that the business must not die when you still want to continue with it. But of course, you may want to liquidate the business because you don't want it anymore, or you might sell the business. That's what we encourage most, all right? And as we continue with you in this journey, we're trying to do this educational system by a way of removing fear and to make businesses that are gonna continue for a sustainable future run smoothly as well, that are gonna trade in all times. And since SARS is the biggest threat, we want to make sure that we are running businesses that are free from SARS, but which could still collaborate with SARS. When you see SARS, you must not get afraid. When you are being called by SARS, you must not be afraid. You must not say, my accountant is not working. When you get an email from SARS, you must read that email nicely and percolate a response that is going to meet what is required by SARS. Because SARS is not going to stop doing their job, but what needs to be understood is what is our responsibilities against what SARS wants. In volume 2, perhaps before I go to volume 2, I think I want to explain volume 1 in a form of soccer, soccer as a sport. Soccer doesn't start from the TV, from us watching the game. Soccer starts a little bit backward from there. It starts by maybe at school, and it starts by those who want to play soccer, those who eventually want to play soccer, understanding the rules. What is football? The aim of football is to score goals. How many players in the field? It's 12, 12. Can it be 11 sometimes? Can it be 10? Why? Who is the goalkeeper? How do we identify a goalkeeper? What is the formation in the soccer? What is the pitch? What does each line in the pitch means? Where is the center? What does the center means? Where is the coach? Where will the coach sit? Where are the reserves? Where would the reserves sit? Who will be governing the match? It's SAFA. SAFA is responsible for doing that. What is the role of the Premier League and soccer in a football match? Who is the fourth official? What is the role of the fourth official? What does he do? And where will I find the fourth official in the pitch? And who is the referee? What is the purpose of the referee? Is the referee superior to SAFA? Is the referee superior to PSL? What is the role of the referee? There are linesmen in the pitch. What is the role of the referee? What is the role of a linesman? There are two linesmen. The linesman that is going this side, and there's a linesman that is running this side. What are they there to do? There are soccer poles, goal poles. What are those goals there to do? What is the process of starting a match? What is the process of ending the match? And who's doing that? And how do we identify a goal? When is it a goal? And what is the process of a ball from where it is and becoming a goal? When is a yellow card issued? When is a red card issued? What is a foul? Do we understand what is a foul is? And after this, you will realize that not only the soccer players who need to understand these rules, also the spectators in the grandstand need to understand these same rules the same way. So football has been well educational. People have been taught on how to understand these rules, and they've understand them the same way. And if you look on this further, you'll find that after the match of Sundowns and Pirates, and there is a goal that is on dispute, you'll find that it's not the players only who saw this was offside. Even people at the grandstand noticed that this was an offside. Then from there you realize that people understand the game the same way. They understand the rules the same way. There is no difference. If there is a difference, it needs to be clarified to say, no, this was not a foul because this player was facing this side when the ball was coming. And when the ball came, this player came this side, allowing this to be offside. But because they were facing in the same direction, even if this one was forward, this was not an offside. So these things have to be explained so that we arrive at a conclusion. At the beginning of football, you have to understand what is the ball, what is the role of the ball, what are the problems with the ball, what are the advantages of the ball, how do you enjoy the ball, what is the stress that is coming with the ball, how to head, how to chest the ball, how to trap the ball, and which other parts of the body you can use to play the ball. Can you use your hands? No. Can you use your shoulders? Yes. Can you use your waist? Yes. Can you use your palms? Yes. Can you use your neck? Yes. Can you use your head? And all those things. Can you use your thighs? Can you use your knees? Can you use your feet? At which point can you use all of these gestures? And which how do you handle a ball and what is called an automation? So if you understand that, it's easy for you to understand how how these rules in volume 1 will help us to run our businesses. And what we don't want is a foul or a tackle that is going to take one of the players with a stretch outside the pitch or even to hospital. How do we avoid that? How do we play fairly in this game with our counterparts, being our customers, being our suppliers, being the regulators, being the employees themselves? So we have to understand the ball game the same way. I think that one for me is a very crucial point. Let us go to uh, volume 2 now. In volume 2, we're talking about tax affairs of married couples. I think what is important and what we need to understand is that a lot of people are either married or they are about to get married soon. That one is the fact. People are married or they are going to get married soon. Well, it depends on whether you are already in business or you are not in business. And I think for me, this part is very important for someone who is about to get married and has got intentions of starting a business, and for someone who has been into business and is going to get married, and for someone who has been married, has been in business, but has not really looked on the consequences of a marriage. And in this way of doing, we are trying to create a common language to say, how do married people have to understand business? And here, this volume doesn't have to be bought by the business owner or the business practitioner, but the spouse who's not involved in business can buy this volume just to familiarize himself or herself about the role of their marriage into the business that his spouse or her spouse is dealing with. And of course, what we do here is to start by talking more about the existing marriage regimes, to say, well, let us understand the role of business first, according to their tax consequences. And once we understand the consequences, let us now understand the role of the marriage regime itself to these tax consequences and to the business itself. And we understand that there are two marriage regimes. There is in community of property and out of community of property, excluding accrual. And also, besides talking about the married couple, couple, we also need to understand how is a business affecting the children. There are people who are in business and working somewhere. How is the business playing in that role? There are people who are in business only and not married, but their spouses are married. And their spouses are working. You know, and what is the role of business in that? What will happen when I was working and my business is still continuing and I'm retiring? What will happen if my business is still working and I'm divorcing? And and how do I maintain my spouse with regards to that? And what happens if my business is continuing and I'm dying and the owner of the business is dying? And what is happening when the business is continuing and I have died? And what are the tax consequences for that one? And one of the things that we want to quickly circle in this volume is that we have seen that in most businesses, people like to use the business bank card to transact for their personal transaction, and also use the same card to transact for business purposes. And most of the accountants get confused on how to deal with those instances, and especially when you have to look on the bank charges. How do you allocate bank charges between personal and business expenses. And what must you do with personal expenses? Because remember, it could well have been that the small business owner was asked, how much do you earn per month? All right. And that question is mainly for tax purposes. And sometimes because of how small our businesses are, and how cash has become a problem in our businesses, you will realize that people do not give themselves a fixed lump sum as the salary, because it's not there. You'll find that someone has answered the question by saying, I'm earning 20,000 rand, but has never gotten to 20,000 rand. How do you collect information from these personal transactions against the 20,000 rand that has never been paid? And how these two amounts, the personal card transactions, the 20,000 rand, and how do they feed to the employees' tax, the so-called pay as you earn. So here we are dealing with things like those ones. You'll find sometimes that there is a transfer to the spouse, there's a transfer to the child, there's a transfer to the mother, to the sister from the business account. And what does that mean in the nutshell? We talk about that in volume 2 and 6. Most importantly, we compare at the end to say we are married in community of property without an accrual, and this one is married in community of property with accrual. And how do these two guys differ at the end, at a profit level, at a tax level? Uh, do we compute their taxes differently, and what are the advantages of each regime there? So you must pay attention. And I think from now it's a matter of you understanding, if you are not married, if you are not married, what type of a marriage regime you will undertake, and why after this chapter. And if you are married and you have already chosen a particular marriage regime, how are you affected with taxes? Because what is important is understanding of this type of marriage affects my taxes this way, and what type of advice I should get to ring fence the problem. Okay, here we are talking about auditing and accounting in South Africa. We have realized that in some instances, especially when a small business wants a loan or is getting financed by this company or that company, by this bank or that bank, they will say, okay, we are ready to finance you, please bring us audited financial statements. And even though that could still happen, as at a small business level, people have not understood properly the difference between an auditor and an accountant, and between an accountant and a financial records clerk. And what is the role of the financial records clerk? What is the role of an accountant? What is the role of an auditor? And how an auditor differs from an accountant, and what an auditor has to issue in the nutshell. Okay, then you get to volume 4. Volume 4 is talking about job descriptions and month-end procedures. We've already talked about this when we were talking about volume 1, the SBOG, to say what is important now is to separate the roles and responsibilities in the small business environment. Let us create people who are coming from TVET colleges, and let us professionalize these people and empower them, and we will call them financial records clerk. They've got a specific responsibility, and there is something that they must do for the businesses that will employ them at each month. And let us call chartered accountants to sign the financial statements. Let us call the business owner to facilitate the work of the business and for the distribution of the work to these two guys. And in across all small businesses, we must understand that what each date in the calendar means and what it must be done, so that we understand that information has a value only when it is processed and is completed, and the processing is completed at a particular time. That's what this volume is all about here. So we're trying to create a language that we all gonna understand the same way, and for accounting and financial recording to have some meaning over there. Part of the problems that has been created, in fact, that wants this solution is that, in a small business environment, there are no big or small players. If you're an accountant, if you're a chartered accountant, you're working in a small business environment, you've got a sole responsibility, a same responsibility with someone who's not an accountant. So I think just to mention that we had a situation. We always have a situation, because we are chartered accountants, where when we work on something for a client, then work is good. Remember, work can be good, but cannot be satisfactory to the client. For instance, work can be good where your workings end up asking the client to go and pay SARS. The work was good, but the only problem there was that you arrived at a tax due to SARS. Work can still be good if you arrived at a loss. There's not a problem. But at a small business, you'll find that what has been accepted and what is realized as right is when the client doesn't have to pay SARS, And when a client takes a file from us and gives it to another client, and we have already made workings and all of that, and some of these guys will instead of interpreting what we've done for the client or to the client, they will say, no, this work is wrong. The reason for that, the work to be wrong, is not because the work is wrong, but perhaps there isn't an effort, or there isn't an educational skill or experience, and there's no technicality to understand what we've done for the client to understand. And the best solution out of that is to say, no, this is wrong, don't worry about it, and I'm going to show you what is right. And the accountants will start to make their calculations to impress the client. And at a small business, we are saying, let us stop impressing the clients. In other words, doing or telling them what they want to hear, but at least let us educate them to understand what needs to be done. I think at this light, that's what we are trying to do. All right. Now we've got volume 5. Volume 5, what we've done in volume 5, we've tried to make a narration of one of the companies, to say, this is what is happening in this company. All right. And we want to give you this volume up front and say, keep this volume. And as we continue with the rest of the program, especially volume 6, you just compare what you are learning with. It's either you've got your own company or you are new in what you are doing, a small business environment. But we use volume 5 for you to compare what we are teaching you with what is happening in volume 5. So volume 5, we've created a company, and we have tried to describe what is happening in that company. And in volume 6, we're telling you exactly what should be happening in the company. So if you are taking volume 6 and you put it here, and you're taking volume 5 and you put it here, and you take our discussions as we progress with the program, you should be able to give more input to volume 5 and say, no, this is not, from the understanding that I'm getting from volume 6, this part of volume 5 is wrong, and this is why I'm saying this is wrong. This person should be doing this, this person should not be doing this. And once you are able to do that, you are able to respond to volume 3 as well. Volume 6. Volume 6 is desired knowledge. So in volume 6, now what we're taking you step by step That's where we're saying to you, do this, don't do this, do this, do this, do this. Okay, you've got employees, do this. Okay, don't do this. Okay, whether you've got assets, when you've got assets, you must do this. We're gonna deal with some of the elements of this chapter, volume cycle 2.1, when we are dealing with cycle 3 CPD, where we'll be dealing with financial statements and where we'll be dealing with combined reporting assurance, the car. So there we are explaining to you, we are first giving you the business functions and the business line items. And in each business line item, we are teaching you what you must do, what you must gather, and how you must do that. So volume 6 is all about doing now, to say, okay, here is my business. What is it that I should know? Having read from volume 1 up until volume 5, and I'm using volume 5 to compare with volume 6, and now I'm learning there to say, wow, I didn't know this. I didn't know that when I'm dealing with assets I must do this. Oh, I didn't know that when I've got employees, this is what I must do. I didn't know that when I've got assets, this is what I must do. I didn't know that when I've borrowed money from the bank, this is what I must do. So volume 6 is all about doing, because remember, in volume 6, the ultimate goal is to do financial statements. And as if you remember our explanation about football in volume 1, volume 6 now is the playing part. How do you play your game to make sure that you score a goal correctly? There is no foul, there is no offside, there is no yellow card, there is no red card. How do you play your ball without a foul, without any of the two cards? So the volume 6 becomes important in doing that. Of course, when we have dealt with the stakeholders in volume 1, and we would have dealt with stakeholders in volume in fact in cycle 3 CPD, where we'll tell you that, okay, these are the types of stakeholders that you should expect, and these stakeholders want this information from your business. We'll tell you that one when you get there, to say, as a business owner, the business is yours, but there are other people who are equally interested to your business as you are, and who are those people, and what are they interested on from your business. Adequate supporting document is coming from volume 5, and is coming from volume 6, and is coming from volume 7, to say, if I'm in the business, what type of documents that I need to produce. So there's gonna be a big file that is gonna be coming, if you become a member of our institute, that is Small Business Practitioners of South Africa. We're gonna give you a file of what you need to have, and we're gonna teach you in that file how to complete some of the documents, because our understanding is that we want to teach businesses, owners and accountants and financial records clerk in one room. And if we do that, we can possibly influence TVET colleges to understand what is at crux in small business environment. So here, the sole responsibility is given to a director, all right, and there are requirements in the Companies Act that says the company director must maintain adequate accounting records, but the Companies Act doesn't specify what are these adequate financial records. So we're gonna deal with that here in volume 8. Now, it further says the adequate accounting records must help the business to conduct an audit or an independent review as required. Okay, so we must not know when there is an audit to be undertaken that we should have kept a certain document. So what we're trying to do here is to help our small businesses just proactively and upfront to understand what type of these adequate accounting records. And these accounting records must be kept such that there is no theft in the business, there is no loss, and there is no intentional accident or distraction or falsification to facilitate discovery of only falsification and to comply with applicable legislation dealing with accounting records. So you, as a business owner, the Companies Act is requiring you to understand what we have called volume 6. So volume 6 is going to help you to keep these records, to understand these records, and to identify these records, so that when these records are required, you are able to produce them. So the ultimate goal is to produce annual financial statements, but these financial statements must be produced upon appropriate accounting policies. We're going to show you what is an accounting policy when we're dealing with volume 8, and we're going to show you what are accounting estimates when we're dealing with volume 8. So you can see that the ultimate goal of volume 6 and volume 8 is to help you to achieve the requirements of the South African Companies Act. In other words, this is the law in which, after you have dealt with our program, you should not have a problem in complying with the law. And of course, there are a number of questions that we're asking there, which you will be happy to deal with. So going forward, we seek to resolve all the questions that we have highlighted and read above, and we have no doubt that you can see how difficult this task is, and we hope that you agree that this task must be attended as soon as possible. But that can only be done if we understand the problem the same way, and if people are made to understand what is the problem even from the first place, and how to identify this problem, how to circumvent the problem, and how to distribute the problem amongst themselves, and what is the role of the accounting in the problem, what is their role in the problem as business owners, and what is the role of financial records clerk. And if we combine all these roles, can we come up with a better solution to move our businesses forward? Volume 9 is for those who will be sitting for our exams, and volume 10. Small business aspects, we are dealing with the law here. What type of law you must understand as a small business practitioner, and when does that law apply? And we are not expecting you to master the law in its entirety, but we are expecting you to understand only the law that is required from a business point of view, so that you avoid making unnecessary mistakes that may end up finding you in court. And because courts penalize fearlessly and they don't play, and sometimes at court there is no distinction whether someone has done something right or the person made a mistake. But if you understand these laws, you will have a clue of what is required from your business. And those are the questions that we are asking you to say, how is this achievable? And we can only solve this problem when we combine volume 8 and volume 6. Volume 12 is just an industry update to say this is what has been happening in the industry this year. These are the things that you need to take note. This industry was more on fire. SARS issued so many penalties on this industry. So many people were arrested in this industry. This industry is not doing well, and so forth. So it's just a statistical update. Then here, volume 13, small business and engagement. What we are trying to do here, we are making people to understand more about their stakeholders. Volume 14 and volume 15 must be read together with volume 3, because they were trying to show you what you must expect when the auditors come. Then, because most businesses are run by individual persons, we have thought of other ways, or making some form of an education on what other solutions are there to prevent business from failing. Yes, you might be doing enough effort. Yes, you might be waking up very early. You might be doing this and this to make your business work, but there are other things that entirely don't depend on you for your business to work, and other solutions that may help your business to continue even if you are there, whether you are sick, whether you are chronically ill, and so forth. So these are the business continuity solutions that we are introducing there. Volume 17, small business valuation techniques. Remember that once you become our member, your business will have to be evaluated so that you understand that you putting money in a business, you are making an investment, and you need to know how much that investment is at a particular moment. Hence, we are introducing small business valuation techniques. I've seen a number of papers a number of adverts on the papers where people want to sell their businesses. I'm selling a business 2.1 million. I'm selling a block of flats 3 million. I'm selling a cartage of trucks for 6.5 million. But how did this person arrive at 6.5 million? How did that business owner arrive at a final price for the business? If I want to buy the business, is it necessary that I buy this business with the price that has been quoted? Can I negotiate for a lower price? Can I see the valuation that has been done for the business that arrived at 6 million? What is the purpose of the valuer? Who values a business? What information the valuer wants? All right, to value this business. So a valuer is someone in our midst, different from a chartered accountant, different from a financial records clerk. Even though this person can still be a chartered accountant, and even though this person can still be an auditor, but this is not the auditor who has been assigned to your business to audit its operation. It's not the chartered accountant who has been assigned to your business to sign the financial statement. So it's a completely new person with an independent mind who's coming to value your business, so that you understand that the effort that you have been putting is growing the business, or is eating from the business. Also, how do you know that your business must continue? Or again, the valuer will also give us a report on this one. So the valuer in chapter 17 and the valuer in chapter 18, it's one and the same person. Chapter 19 are business plans and profiles. How to do this, and what information you must have. Then you will go to chapter 20, where we deal with business policies. Because once now you have done all your volumes, volume 1 up until volume 20, volume 1 up until volume 19, then you have to have business policies to say, this is how my business is working, so that, because what we don't want, in fact, what we are trying to create here is that even though I'm a chartered accountant, someone may ask me and say, man, I'm running a BNB. I'm going to be away for 5 months. Can you run my business for 5 months? I'm not going to be here. It should be easy for me to do that. I don't have to know it, all right? I don't have to be a doctor to run a surgery, all right? So these volumes helps us to understand business of whatever form in the same way. Yes, I might not inject someone with a needle because I'm not a doctor. Yes, I might not test the BPI. Yes, I might not test this and that. But running a surgery on its own is different from that one, because that one is occupational. I can get an occupational person to do that. But him doing that, that's not business. Business is broader than that. So chapter 20, that is volume business policies and volumes, business policies and procedures should help us to say what type of policies do we have, because policies are the spokesperson of the business. They tell us that this is what is happening in the business, this is how we should all do it, and this is what must not be done, and this is what will happen in the event someone is transgressing, so this is what we call business. So we have a volume also, volume 20, that is dealing with policies. We've already provided policies there. So you're going to take volume 20 and together with the business that you want to be, and you're going to help us to say, no, this policy I'm not going to need it, but I'm going to create a new policy that is going to deal with this one. The reason for this policy is this and this and this and this. On the policies that will be given on volume 20, what you're going to tell us is that this policy does not meet the requirement of the policy. A policy must have this and this and this and this and this and this, and this is not catered for in any of these policies. Finally, we believe our experience will guide other small businesses and bring more stability in the business area. Remember, we've got more than 30 years of experience in small business, and it is from this premise that we thought that because we see the rate of how many business fails and what contributes to this business failing, then by doing so, integrating research-driven solutions, leading and guide. Okay, so ours is to guide and cleverly allocate resources and raise small businesses into greater heights with one language that combines us all. Okay, so there's no point of this person talking this language and this talking this language. We have to understand that we are in the small business, and in small business, this is what is required. We have worked tirelessly to ensure that not only we should share our experiences, but we are careful to meaningfully package them. Hence, we have these volumes, volume 1 up until volume 20. Each volume must be understood in relation to other volumes, and at the end, we would like to know what you have taken in our experience in building your own. We strongly maintain that in 15 years' time, most businesses, can you see that this is a long-time project? But what we want is that journey with us, start this project with us. Let us reach that 15 years together, or it can be even lesser than that, depending on what government attitude is towards this great initiative. We strongly maintain that in 15 years' time, most businesses will be keen to enlist because of how powerful the guidance has been. We understand that this is a new guide to small businesses. There might be glitches there and there, but with your help, we understand that ultimately we will reach the intended goals that we want to reach. And finally, all businesses that use our advice must be guaranteed to be an employer of our children. All right. Well, we're not saying keep your business if you don't want to keep it, but all what we're saying is that in the event you want to sell your business, sell it. But circumstances must not force you to sell a business because of lack of knowledge. And when there's lack of knowledge, we want to be there for you to understand some of the things. And thank you so much for your interest in this volume. Now, what we're going to do next time, we're going to be getting into other areas of the business. Let me see you in the next chapter. Thank you so much for attending, and stay blessed.